Hi, it's Catherine Franke. Now, many of us have expressed a concern that the government's violent overreaching and abuse of immigration laws, detaining people who had valid visas, were in the country with green cards, were not out of legal status, but were being taken by federal immigration officials, put into detention facilities, or worse, put on planes and flown out of the country. That this kind of authoritarian violence would spread from people who were not U.S. citizens to citizens, and that they would initially target citizens who were engaging in speech and other political activity that the government disfavors. It's possible that this started this morning. Several homes of students in Michigan, college students in Michigan, were raided by the FBI working together with local law enforcement officials, coming in some cases with a battering ram and knocking the door down as if there was something imminently dangerous going on in those homes, which of course there wasn't. But they came with warrants to detain the students, which they did temporarily, and seize their phones and laptops. And what I'm hearing is also anything that might have had paint on it. Now, why paint? Well, what I think may be happening, and again, we don't know, is that about a month ago, the provost of the University of Michigan's home was spray painted, allegedly by pro-Palestinian activists. And so it could be that this relates to the prosecution of that kind of vandalism of a university official. Now, normally, when there are things like trespass, whether, the student encampments were kind of trespass when people are being asked to leave a private space or even a public space and you don't leave, that's trespass. Vandalism, that sort of thing, is normally treated as a state criminal law matter. But what was concerning this morning is that the FBI came too, and they were really leading the raid. And what this is possibly signaling is that the Trump administration is escalating the enforcement of an executive order that was issued in January, shortly after Trump came into office, that said that basically all arms of government, federal government, should be used to enforce or punish anti-Semitism on university campuses, what they regarded was an unacceptable level of anti-Semitism on university campuses. And so it's possible that what we saw this morning was a kind of joint terrorism task force-like raid, which is this collaboration that many communities and states have entered into with the federal government, where the federal government and state and local law enforcement will work together to enforce terrorism laws. In this case, they may be considering hate crimes prosecutions against the students who are alleged to have been involved in some of these protests, either on campus or at the provost's home. So let me say this. If you are a student in Michigan, or a student really anywhere, and you're worried, you need a lawyer. If they show up at your house with a warrant, you have to let them in, and you have to cooperate with what the warrant says they're allowed to do. But if they don't have a warrant, don't let them in. But be sure that you have called a lawyer, you have a lawyer ready to call in the event that this may be happening to you in your home. I would suggest that you call the National Lawyers Guild. It has chapters across the country in large cities, and if you're not in a large city with a guild chapter, the National can help triage the matching of you with a criminal defense attorney. But we need to be ready, and we need to anticipate that this is just the test balloon today in Michigan. But I think that this is very possibly something that will expand, where the federal government will now start treating what have been so far criminal mischief, vandalism, trespassing, those sorts of state law, most cases kind of low-level criminal charges, as federal hate crimes charges or worse. As material support for terrorism. So again, the worry of the Joint Terrorism Task Force being involved here. So this is serious stuff. And if you need a lawyer and you don't know where to turn, I would say call the National Lawyers Guild. And if that for some reason doesn't work for you, private message me here, but I will put the links for the Guild in the comments on this post.